Good afternoon, everybody. It's just 12:01 and I see folks are filing in, so I'm going to give it another minute or two before we officially get started. But I want to test that you can all hear me okay, and we'll start in just a minute. All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm seeing 12:03 and a critical mass of folks that have joined. Hopefully, more will join us as we get into the content for this afternoon. I know it's a gorgeous afternoon out there. So thank you all for joining us today for the third installment of our Expanding Solarize series as part of Philadelphia Energy Authority's Solar Week. My name is Abby Rambo. I am the director of the Solar for All program with the Philadelphia Green Capital Corp. I'll be leading us through a bunch of our webinar today, as well as my colleagues from the Philadelphia Energy Authority, Kate and Kai, if they want to introduce themselves quickly. Kate?
Sure. Thank you, Abby. My name is Kate Lunger. I'm the Director of Workforce Initiatives at PEA.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kai Hardy. I'm the Program Manager of Workforce Development at PEA. Thanks, Abby.
Great. Thank you both for joining today as we dive into expanding Solarize and focus our conversation today specifically on expanding careers with workforce development in solar and the green economy. So if we want to jump to the next slide, thanks so much. So a little bit about the Philadelphia Energy Authority, if you are unfamiliar with us. We are an independent municipal authority created by City Council back in 2010 to promote, grow, and support the clean energy economy in Philadelphia. PEA's mission is really to use energy as a tool for impact, and we work in the community by using energy as a driver for numerous areas of our work: economic development, really creating jobs that we're focused on today, alleviating poverty, and improving public health by giving everyone access to renewable energies. And we work across a number of sectors in Philadelphia, including commercial, residential, and municipal projects. And that's something I'll talk about in a little bit. Well, on the next slide, if you want to go to the next slide. As part of our energy campaign. So to give you a little bit more background on the Energy Authority, in 2016, in partnership with former City Council President Darrell Clark, PEA launched the Philadelphia Energy Campaign, which is a $1 billion 10-year investment in energy efficiency and clean energy projects with a goal to create 10,000 jobs. And I'm really excited to say, and we're always very excited to say, that we are well within reach of reaching our goal by the end of 2023. PEA and PGCC had supported over $904 million in projects and created over 7,600 jobs which is really astounding. So we'll talk about kind of the programs that have allowed us to do that, and the funding upcoming that really are going to allow us to expand that impact and our reach in the region. But this is something that we're really proud to say that we've been able to do over the last 7-8 years in working in partnership with our city, and now as we scale to the region. So if you want to go to the next slide, I want to touch on a couple of these campaigns, projects within the campaign. Specifically in April of this year, PEA facilitated the power purchase agreement between the city of Philadelphia and Energizing Renewables, the owner of the Adams Solar Project, which is a 700-acre, 70-megawatt solar facility out near Gettysburg. And the Adams Solar Project allows Philadelphia's municipal buildings to receive 25% of their electricity needs from solar power, which is amazing. So the city is within its reach also to meet its 2030, I believe, goal to be using renewable energy to meet its energy needs. Also, some things I want to note on this slide. Over 300 low-income homeowners have received retrofits through the Built to Last program. And Built to Last has served as the model for the statewide adoption of a whole home repair program, which PEA is very proud of, and the Philadelphia Green Capital Corp is really proud to support through our work. And if we want to go to the next slide, I can talk a little bit more about PGCC, the Philadelphia Green Capital Corp, which is the Green Bank affiliate of the Energy Authority. And PEA launched PGCC in September in 2021, really to expand equitable access to clean energy and the clean energy economy in the Philadelphia region. And we do that by working to fill gaps in the market, to really bring different forms of capital to the table, to bring different types of energy programs and projects to life. We crowd together public funding, private funding, philanthropic, and grant funding, something I'll talk about in a little bit with Solar for All grant funding, to really make a lot of these renewable energy projects work, and especially to make them work in an equitable way, to make sure that we're addressing the needs of the entirety of Philadelphia and the region's households, including our low to moderate income households. So if we want to move to the next slide, I want to get into, talking about the Solarize program and kind of how we do that work through Solarize Philly. Overall, Solarize Philly is a rooftop solar origination program where residents and commercial properties get connected to PEA's certified installers to get, obviously, solar systems installed on their roofs. Overall, if we want to go to the next slide, the strength of the Solarize program is really that PEA is serving as a connector between households or commercial property owners and our fully vetted partners of contractors. So each year, PEA puts out an RFP and select solar installers specifically for our Solarize program. That is a very rigorous vetting process to make sure that we are connecting our residents with very qualified partners through our program, because we are certifying them and ensuring that the folks that come into our program, regardless of what their income level is or what kind of way that they're financing their solar project, that is going to be a long-standing partnership, either between us and that homeowner and our partner installers. So to go through that vetting process, PEA will check references, inspect installations to make sure that they're doing quality work. We negotiate pricing with selected installers to get customers competitive rates. And we ensure that customer protections are really in place in their contracts. We ensure that all equipment used meets quality and safety certifications, and our model really supports lower income Philadelphians and moving into the region, supports them to go solar, and not only supports solar adoption in those households, but we also have a very strong workforce and job training component that Kai and Kate will talk about in a bit that really plugs into this Solarize program and also to the Built to Last program that I mentioned earlier. So if we want to go to the next slide. Solarize Philly is the largest Solarize initiative in the US. So I think it's really important that I say that outright and I show Solarize Philly by the numbers, since the program was started in 2017, to really show a summary of our impact. I want to call attention to the fact that 66,000 households, over 66,000, have expressed an interest in going solar through Solarize Philly, and over 3,300 contracts have been signed as of today or a few days ago. We've generated almost 18 megawatts of electricity and invested about $64 million into Philly's clean energy economy. And we've created over 400 quality jobs, which is what we're going to talk about today, how we do that with Solarize. But really, I think it's important to really drill down on these numbers of how this program is comprehensively kind of facilitating the growth of the green energy economy in the Philadelphia region. If you want to go to the next one. Here's a snapshot of the types of contracts signed in the Solarize Philly program since 2017. In the first 4 years, you can see the program, we saw a lot of signups and contracts were mostly in wealthier zip codes, and we had lower penetration in other zip codes in Philadelphia County. So Solarize Philly kind of expanded their offerings and included a lease model, a solar lease model with one of our partner installers, Posigen. And with this solar lease, we saw a dramatic increase in low to moderate income households being able to go solar. So if you can see in 2021, that's when it was introduced. And over the next few years, that's how the majority of folks have been able to go solar, is with that solar lease product. If you want to go to the next slide. Great. And why that solar lease has really worked is because there's no upfront cost to homeowners. There are lower monthly utility bills for electricity that includes the lease payment and their energy savings. And with the lease specifically, the operations and maintenance is covered by the installer or the entity that owns the array, because the homeowner is just leasing it. So there really aren't any barriers to going solar, which has been great. So to really expand this, PGCC is working to launch another solar lease pilot program. In the coming weeks, PGCC is going to launch this pilot where 60 homes will have access to the solar lease product with our partners Capital Good Fund, which is a national community development finance institution. They're going to bring their Pennsylvania Bright solar lease to our region. And those 60 homes as part of the pilot will not only be located in Philadelphia County, but in the 4 Collier counties as well. So the entirety of the Southeast Pennsylvania region. And through this program, the average family that participates will see 20% savings on their energy costs every month, including that lease payment. And we're going to be including the strong consumer protections that are part of our Solarize Philly program in the deployment of this lease, because this specific lease pilot will be another tool that our partner installers can use when they're making connections with homeowners interested in going solar. This standalone solar lease product is something they'll be able to use, so more folks will be able to sign up, go green without barriers to entry, which is why we've seen such success with the other lease that we've been offering through Posigen since 2021. So if you want to go to the next slide. So how does Solar for All impact all of this work? So I'm going to talk now a little bit more about the Solar for All grant program. and take a step back and provide a little bit of backstory to bring this all together. Solar for All is a grant program as part of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, and that is a fund within the Bipartisan Inflation Reduction Act. GGRF is $27 billion. It's a $27 billion investment specifically to combat the climate crisis. And within GGRF, Solar for All is another $7 billion bucket of federal grant program to bring solar specifically to low to moderate income households. So in fall of 2023, PGCC worked with the Pennsylvania Energy Development Authority, PETA, to submit a coalition application to the EPA for the Solar for All grant funding. And in April of this year, in 24, PETA and PGCC were named as one of the 60 selected applications for Solar for All. So PGCC and PETA will work together to administer this grant across the entirety of the Commonwealth, with PGCC really focusing on southeastern Pennsylvania, specifically, obviously, Philadelphia, Montgomery, Bucks, Delaware, and Chester counties. The goals of Solar for All, first and foremost, as I said, is to serve low to moderate income households. And we're going to be doing that through providing financial assistance specifically for solar, storage, and enabling upgrades on single family households. The enabling upgrades include roof work and electrical panel upgrades to allow for a solar system install. And all of this is done to ensure at least a 20% savings on that household's electricity bill after going solar. Other key components of Solar for All are really focused on creating a sustainable solar market and really investing in workforce development programs, which Kate and Kai are going to talk about in a minute, which really hopefully will meet the demand of a more robust solar market with the influx of this Solar for All funding. Additionally, we really, as we think about implementing Solar for All and expanding the Solarize Philly program to the 5 counties and creating a Solarize Greater Philadelphia, we want to make sure that we're working with our solar installer partners and municipalities and community organizations out in the 5-county region to address policy barriers, interconnection and permitting barriers in each of these different municipalities. So that's something that we are keenly aware of, and as part of these sessions that we're going to be hosting throughout the fall and throughout really the life of this grant, we want to make sure that we're working with communities and folks to really address how we can facilitate a streamlined implementation of this program and make sure that we're like deploying these funds as swiftly and as best we can to meet the needs in certain communities. Of course, overall, the Solar for All program goal is to reduce CO2 emissions, as is the goal of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. You want to go to the next slide? So what does this mean for Pennsylvania? So as of now, we plan, PGCC and our counterparts at the Pennsylvania Energy Development Authority plan to provide solar financial assistance to over 14,000 homes across the Commonwealth. Because PGCC is a partner in administering this, we anticipate serving a good proportion of the beneficiaries for this funding in southeastern Pennsylvania. So I do have the numbers kind of broken out across the state, and then more specifically in southeastern Pennsylvania, what we're anticipating. I do want to note that these numbers are subject to review by the EPA as we finalize our contracting with the EPA and with PETA. Things are always kind of in flux until you have all of your program design completed, but that's what we're here to kind of discuss today. But this is what we're anticipating, and we hope to reach even more by the end of the 5-year performance period. So of those 14,000 households, we anticipate Over 5,000 would receive the enabling upgrades, the roof work, and the electrical panel upgrades. Just under 500 would benefit from battery storage, and we are targeting 1,000 jobs to be created. And we're really working together. I am working closely with Kate and Kai on our workforce development plan, and that's what we hope to get some feedback on from everyone today as well. As I said, this is a 5-year grant starting in fall of 2024, and over the 5 years, we're targeting over 70 megawatts of solar to be installed in Pennsylvania. Next slide. So who will this support? We are, well, because Solar for All is really a subsidy for low income households, we're going to be focusing on EPA's defined low income and disadvantaged communities. Those are LIDAC communities. That's a term coined by the EPA, which really means communities in census tracts defined as low income, which is at or below 80% of the area median income, as well as communities experiencing increased energy or environmental burdens. So if you look at the map here, we're targeting parts of Philadelphia, Norristown, Coatesville, Chester, Lower Bucks, and Pottstown. These are some of those LIDAC communities determined by the EPA. To receive Solar for All subsidies, one does not have to be located in these specific areas. You can also be qualified if you're low to moderate income, which is that 80% of the area median income outside of these zones, but within our 5-county region. I have this map up so you can see kind of where we want to make sure that we are targeting when we're first talking about the program, to make sure we're working with those communities to understand, as I said, what the nuances are for solar permitting, interconnection, any barriers that exist, and how we can address those upfront. So it's a streamlined process for installation, and also that folks in these communities have access to the funds and are educated on the program so they know how they can participate, go solar, and feel good about participating in our expanding program. If you want to go to the next slide. So I've mentioned this, but here I'm kind of memorializing it. In order to really serve these communities with the Solar for All grant funding and to further the mission of Solarize, we're going to be expanding the program to a Solarize Greater Philadelphia program that's really going to operate in all 5 counties of our southeastern Pennsylvania region. The program will consist of what Solarize Philly currently includes, which is market rate residential, commercial, as in any property owner that's interested in going solar can express an interest to PEA and be connected to one of our qualified installers. The additional piece with Solar for All is folks that meet that LMI threshold will be able to receive subsidies for reduced cost solar leases through the Solar for All subsidy. So the next part of this work is really to bring together, as I said, stakeholders across the counties and municipalities to address the policy and the permitting barriers, and to set us up for success in really creating that sustainable solar market. If you want to go to the next slide. And I want to drill down on this and spend a little time on the solar lease, just so everyone has an understanding of kind of how that will work and what we're looking at and what we're designing right now as part of our program design process. As I said, because we've seen such a strong adoption of solar with Posigen Solar Lease, we plan to use that model again to deploy the Solar for All subsidies as we expand this program. And I think that this this chart is really helpful in showing how the lease has impacted our ability to reach those LMI households. Overall, 51% of our historic, so since 2017, Solarize Philly installs have been on LMI households. And the majority of our contracts in 2023, 2024 have been LMI installs with a lease product. So that really, as I said, has been extremely accessible for a lot of our participants. And with this additional standalone lease product that we're piloting with Capital Good Fund, we hope that more installers, especially smaller ones, newer ones, will be able to use this innovative tool as they're talking with homeowners about going solar. So with the Solar for All funding and expanding the program, we're really working to support the entire ecosystem of clean energy development, and this includes creating quality family supporting jobs. And PEA has numerous programs that really set our participants up for success in that industry. And I want to let Kai and Kate kind of tell you more about those and how we plan to really expand that work together.
Thanks, Abby. So good afternoon again, everyone. And as Abby stated, Kai and I will be speaking on the workforce development program model. So that's going to include some information about our Bright Solar Future program and also our GRIT program, which is Green Retrofit Immersive Training. Our goal, as Abby has mentioned, is to create a pipeline to quality jobs with built to last and program contractors. Next slide, please. So I'm going to speak a little bit about our Good Jobs Challenge in the southeastern region of Pennsylvania. So that does include the same areas as Solar for All. So this is a great chance for us to really collaborate on the initiatives and train more individuals, and then also place them into sustainable positions in the energy sector under solar. So a quick overview about Good Jobs. It's funding. It comes from the U.S. Economic Development Administration, which invested over $22 million through Good Jobs Challenge. So the sectors that we are in include healthcare, construction, and energy. And of course, PEA is responsible for the energy portion of it. So what is our role in the Good Jobs Challenge? It is to design to lead for the energy sector in enhancing workforce development initiatives. And the regional impact is expanding PEA's existing programs across the southeastern region of Pennsylvania. So system goals, career connections, aiming to connect between 3,000 and 4,000 career seekers to good jobs. And the timeline is to achieve these connections within 24 to 36 months. So we are currently in our second year of the grant, which is the implementation phase. So from now until the end of the grant, we have about 18 months left. We will be focusing on continuing to train individuals through GRIT and through solar and place them in energy sector positions in the region. So we are one of 3 backbone organizations, and our funder, their intermediary is PhilaWorks. So we go to them for the technical assistance portion of it, and then we also report to them, and they report to the EDA. Next slide, please. So the Good Jobs Challenge, the impact, equitable recovery, accelerating equitable recovery in the region, also economic growth, which is driving economic growth through skilled workforce development, and social impact, disrupting chronic intergenerational poverty across southeastern Pennsylvania. So not only are we doing it in Philadelphia, but also the surrounding counties, which we are expanding into now and really just tapping into a lot of existing programs that may not have the solar portion of it, but do have training and the wraparound support saying, hey, like, we'd love to support your efforts. What can we do to, get that done? And also support your job placement services. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to pass it on to Kai to discuss a little bit more about the actual training programs that we support.
Thanks, Kate. Good afternoon again, everyone. As Kate mentioned, my name is Kai Hardy, and I'm a program manager at the Philadelphia Energy Authority. I'm going to provide a brief overview of our program so that everyone can see how they contribute to the overarching goals at PEA. So we're going to start with our Bright Solar Futures programs. And so what I want to mention here is that we do divide the Bright Solar Futures program into two distinct programs. So we have first our Bright Solar Futures CTE program, which is just typical career and technical education program supported by the School District of Philadelphia. The program targets 10th through 12th graders and provides exposure to solar energy and other renewables. So the end goal of this program is really to equip students with foundational knowledge of energy and to also garner interest in careers in the energy sector. And again, it's just two separate programs. So we have that's Bright Solar Future CTE. So that's target group is high schoolers, and then we have our Bright Solar Futures OpY. So the OpY stands for Opportunity Youth, and I do want to mention that that's a bit of a misnomer since we do serve 18 through 30-year-olds through that program, and Opportunity Youth is usually 16 through 24, but we do go up to 30. That program really focuses on solar installation training and equipping young adults with the necessary skills to get into entry-level jobs in the solar energy field. And you'll see, I do want to mention and give a shout out to our partners that are listed at the bottom of the slide, who help make the Bright Solar Futures program possible. We can go to the next slide, please. Our Bright Solar Futures CTE program does have a paid summer component, which allows students to continue and expand on their school year learning through a 4-week summer enrichment program. And so this summer, what we did was we partnered with Mayfair Elementary School so that our students, our high school students, could sort of complete a capstone project. And what they did is they went into Mayfair Elementary School to teach the students who were enrolled in the building trades class. They taught them solar. So they got to sort of be the teachers in a sense. And so we used the train the trainer model to do that. It was a success, and so much so that Mayfair is going to begin integrating solar into their building trades curriculum in fall 2024. So we're super, super excited about that. Some other things I want to highlight about our Bright Solar Future Summer program this year was that we had weekly industry relevant field trips. Our students were able to obtain their OSHA 10 credential. And we got some media coverage, which was super exciting. That's what's in the picture when we had our America All In visit. And then we did a final culminating celebration with Mayfair at City Hall on August 2nd, which was a lot of fun as well. We can go to the next slide, please. Last and certainly not least, probably my favorite program, one of my favorite programs, is our Green Retrofit Immersive Training Program, which we refer to as GRIT because you can see that that is a mouthful. And so our Green Retrofit Immersive Training Program is an 18-week training program that focuses on giving our participants skills for green home retrofits. So that's 12 weeks of paid in classroom style learning. After they receive the classroom training, they do in the program by doing a 6-week paid internship where they go and practice all the things they were learning in the classroom. And then they graduate with 5 portable, stackable industry certifications. You can see the certifications listed on the slide. And we're seeing that our GRIT graduates are seeing an average wage of like $18, $19 an hour. So we're really happy about that. And we do provide ongoing placement support and services for our GRIT graduates. And again, just want to highlight our partners at the bottom of the screen that help make this program possible. I'm going to pass it back to Abby, and she's going to talk about Built to Last and how this all ties together.
Thanks, Kai. Yeah, I want to wrap back around to Built to Last that I mentioned in the very beginning of when discussing our energy campaign projects. So the goal of these programs is really to create a pipeline, as we've said, to like quality, family sustaining jobs in the industry. And we have 2 programs currently, Built to Last and Solarize Philly, where we have contractor partners that help us kind of deliver our mission of providing comprehensive home repairs and weatherization, and also enabling households to go solar. So the goal is really to have our graduates that leave with incredible skills and certifications to find quality work with one of our contractor partners. So if there are folks that are on this webinar now that are interested in learning more about how to facilitate that, or how to kind of plug into this work in our pipeline, we'll have our contact information up at the end of the screen. But PEA is really driving to see an impact not only at the homeowner level and getting repairs done or being able to go solar, but also providing that workforce development component and the folks that are delivering that service and providing those upgrades or repairs or rehabs. We're supporting their training and that work as well. So it really is a comprehensive model that we hope to expand not only through Good Jobs Challenge and Solar for All, but having this meeting today to be able to form some more of those connections, not only in Philadelphia, but also in the counties, so we can support more of our graduates in our own programs, and also support those that are already in operation to amplify this work. So if we want to go to the next slide, here's Kate's information. If you're really interested in becoming a partner, to contact Kate for more. And if you want to go to the next slide. Yes, Kate, you're planning to have an upcoming partnership virtual info session. I know it'll be in fall, but I'm sure she'll send out some more information to the folks that have registered for this event as we have details and timing available for that.
Absolutely.
Amazing. I see in the chat, Posner just hired Catlin, who recently completed the GRIP program. Great.
That is amazing. We're so happy to hear that. Thank you.
Great. I think our next slide is moving into Q&A. Yep. So I see some questions in the Q&A area of the Zoom. I think the chat's open too. Yes, but if you want to drop additional questions into the Q&A or the chat, go ahead. I'm going to read these aloud in case folks are on their phones or can't see, and we'll together address what everybody's thinking about. So Alana asked, are you expanding outside of the city because there is a lack of home ownership and or households that meet the LMI requirements? So I assume this is in reference to expanding the Solarize program. So no, we're not expanding out because there is a lack of home ownership or LMI need in Philly. It's because PEA and PGCC really have been working to create this Solarize model in Philadelphia since 2017 and have seen great success. That when the Solar for All grant funding was announced, I'm going to close the chat for myself for a second. It made sense for us to take the lead on expanding our program because we already had the capacity in place to be able to work in Philadelphia, where there is a great deal of need, especially for low to moderate income households. And we've already kind of been starting to form those partnerships and thinking about expanding to the 5-county region. Then it made sense for us to do it with this Solar for All funding. So that's why we're expanding, and we're really doing that in partnership with PETA. And this is another question that's in the Q&A. Is the lease going to be available throughout the Commonwealth or just in southeastern Pennsylvania? So the lease product that I'm talking about will be available in southeastern PA through PGCC and PEA. Our partners at PETA in the Commonwealth, for the first year of the 5-year performance period of this grant, are really going to be focusing on planning. And part of that planning is going to be creating another solar lease and also solar loan product that will be available through the rest of the Commonwealth. So the solar lease will be available to all outside of our southeastern Pennsylvania region. And then the solar loan product will be available to all, including those in PGCC Southeastern PA region, if someone is interested in getting the solar loan and buying the system outright through a low-cost loan. But as I said, they're working on the planning piece of that over the next few months and hoping to launch later into 2025. But we are ready to do as much as we can because Solarize has been running since 2017. So that's why we're really leading the charge in the southeastern part of the state. And after the pilot, I see Julian asked, after the pilot phase 60. So after our current pilot phase is going forward without it's not tied to the Solar for All grant. That's something that we're doing with other funding and in partnership with, as I said, Capital Good Fund, who's going to be the lease provider. And that's really a pilot in every sense to test the concept and make sure that we are learning everything we need to learn before we're really launching the expanded Solarize, Greater Solarize Philly program with the federal funding. It's a test the concept and make sure that we're really ready to go when we launch, like more formally and publicly, and we're taking more folks into the program. So with, as I said, moving through the Solar for All grant performance period, we're anticipating 14,000 households across the state, with around 6,000 or a little over 6,000 as the ones that PGCC and PEA will be assisting in southeastern PA. And Megan asks, are there any initiatives related to commercial or industrial solar applications? Great question. So currently there is a commercial component to Solarize Philly. It's not as strongly utilized, I would say, because we in Pennsylvania don't have enabling legislation for community solar. We hope that within the 5-year performance period of this grant and soon just in general, that we'll see community solar become something that's viable in the Commonwealth. And at that time, we hope to respond when we're able, that there is flexibility in this grant to address differences in the market as time moves on. So we hope that within the next 5 years, that's something that we will see and be able to incorporate into our program design as well for Solar for All. But right now, without community solar, there isn't as strong of a desire for our commercial property owners to go solar if there isn't a better way for them to monetize that array without community solar. Great question. I'm going to open this chat. Any more questions? I went through what I saw in the Q&A. And so great to hear that Positive had hired Catlin. Wonderful. If we want to go to the next slide. We are in day 4 of Solar Week. It's not over yet. We have tomorrow, there is a PICO collaborative, really focused a conversation for our installers on interconnection and permitting with PICO. That's going to be in Upper Darby at the McCall Field and Golf Course. I will be there, and some other folks from PEA will be there as well from our commercial and residential programs teams. So if you're interested in that, you can find that information to register online through our website on Solar Week. And if you want to go to the next slide, Gwen. Here is my contact information. Again, I'm Abby Rambo, the Solar for All Director with PGCC. Feel free to follow up with me, questions. I'm happy to have this conversation with any and all organizations, folks that want to learn more about Solarize Philly, Solarize Greater Philadelphia, and the Solar for All grant program. We should also have a slide on here with a way to sign up for ongoing info about Solar for All. I also want to give a shout out to Kate. Kate's information is also here too, to continue the conversation around workforce development and partnership for Good Jobs Challenge and upcoming Solar for All opportunities and funding. Please do reach out to Kate or myself so we can talk about that as we dig into program design and the grant really rolls out over the next couple months. Is this, sorry, I have to ask, is this our last slide or do we have the QR code? Must be the last slide. That's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't mess with it. It's okay. We can send a follow-up. I just want everyone to know that this session was recorded. We can make sure that we follow up with the links so you can go back and get some more of this information. You can find it on our website. You can also reach out to me directly. We do have a place on PGC's website if you're interested to learn more about Solar for All as we have more information rolling out about the program and upcoming sessions for workforce development conversations, for installers, for individual homeowners or organizations interested in the consumer protections piece of the Solarize Philly program. Here it is. Thanks so much, Gwen. Please fill out that interest form so you can stay up to date with what we're planning. And attend sessions as we plan them moving forward. There's a lot more to come over the next few months, so stay tuned. And if we don't have any more questions at the moment, I'll say thank you all so much for joining us this afternoon. Enjoy this beautiful weather, and please do reach out if you have any questions.
Thanks, everyone.